Hey, and good evening. This is Tiger. Welcome to my stream. AJ, good evening to you. And I have to apologize in advance. I sometimes have to mute my microphone because I have to cough. I caught a cold somewhere in the past 2 or 3 days, and coughing. Yeah, welcome to the game, welcome to my stream, and AJ has been subscribed for 30 months in a row. Thank you so much for the ongoing support. Let's go, she says. Perfect. Yeah, we're drowning in content, and content that is supposed to be released soon. At the moment, the Czech route is going to be released on Tuesday. The DB Baureihe 145 is supposed to be released on Friday. CD Radar, dobry večer to you. Yay, London. And tonight we are looking at something that is actually quite old. The Suffragette Line, the GOBLIN, and I'm actually living up to what I promised that I'm going to do or want to do. Have a look at all the railway lines that come together at London, at the London Overground lines. Not so much on the London Underground lines, on one that we have in the game. We will look at it in comparison and put it on a map. Seems like the stream title is wrong. Oh, did I not update my stream title? What happened there? Let's find it and check it. It says you are streaming, but there is no stream for me. The stream title is wrong, and Spectre, did you get it now? Sunday, March, trains from Derby, yeah. You are correct, it is still the old thing. Where did I just put it on my Discord probably, and I thought, yes, all is good, and nothing was. Railway lines. And stations. And we're playing the Suffragette Line. Thank you, CD Radar. So also the notification was actually not living up to what it was supposed to be. And Spectre got it too, yeah. Moin and hello everywhere, Aqua. So nice to have you too. Now everything is coming together and we are going to play the Suffragette Line. And for that, let me turn on the DLC marker. London Overground, Suffragette Line, 1 of 3 out of the 6 London Overground lines that we have in the game, actually. And of course, I have to inform you that I got the keys for free from DTG for being an ambassador. And at the moment, I already mentioned it, we are getting so much content as ambassadors that it is really hard to keep up with everything. On International Women's Day, Spectre, the Suffragette Line. Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? And now I can go back to the trains and pick the route. Liberechter Parker is going to be released on Tuesday, and we will have a stream tomorrow coinciding with the roadmap stream, but I did not know that before, that it will. Here goes bloke to Barking Riverside. Didn't know that before, that it will coincide with the roadmap stream, but it's the only evening that I can do a sneak peek for the Liberechter Parker line. And I want to do that. I want to get into check railway signaling before it comes out. It is so huge, this topic, and there is so many stuff in this DLC. Much more than I expected. That we will have a lot of beautiful streams about the Czech railway stuff. CD Radar was nice enough to check my check grammar already in the pages that I have finished so far for the presentation, so nothing can go wrong. Gospel Oak, Barking. I want to start at Gospel Oak to Barking Riverside. Starting at Wilston TMD. Why not? Let's check it out. What that is. I have not really prepared any service. I've run the line once so far and did not have it on stream yet. And we're getting so much content. And CD Radar is currently on a 20 stream streak. That is amazing. Yeah, if we're getting content in that ratio that we're getting it at the moment, we're really just stumbling from one DLC in the next. But for the Czech DLC, I'm really looking forward to presenting it tomorrow night at 8. Because it's such a beautiful thing. And so interesting. And so difficult and so long. We're running on an Aventra 710. For Transport for London. Driving for Arriva Trains London. Because Transport for London subcontracted it to Arriva UK. And here we are. If you want to use the shortcuts for turning on the safety systems on this train, and you have the funny situation that you can turn on the vigilance, but if you try to set the AWS TPWS, then you will always set one switch to on and the other one to off if you do that with the control return key. See? No, I can't see it anymore because I'm not sitting. So you actually have to do that by hand.
TPWS and AWS.
Light is on. We are here at Upper Halloway. What is not Gospel Oaks? So we're actually starting a bit late, but we are always having not in service. I'm not entirely sure. Do we have to set that on our own, or is that just not working on those trains? At any rate, we are at a red signal. In the north of London. Line speed of 55, and we are going to Crouch Hill, Harringay Green Lanes, South Tottenham, Blackhorse Road. Well, I was on Blackhorse Road this morning, and it exhausted me so much that I had to get a big nap in the afternoon. I closed my door even though the light is still red. I should not have done this. So next stop is already Barking Riverside, so we are not stopping on the way. Doing this apparently as a non-stopper service. Does this show? Not really. In the title, but that speeds up things a lot. So we're just running through Oh, here it is already down to 30. See that because the signal was red and I did not see the sign because I was looking at the train. It'll be nice and slow down. 30 in this part of the line. The funny thing is that I had planned to take a next week off from work a while ago to rest a bit, but in the end there is so much going on that it will be an extremely busy week, but it is very suitable for the release. Oh yeah. Well, to be honest, the Czech route and the 145 in 1 week is huge. Expert Loco always takes a lot of time to work yourself into it. And a new signaling system, the same, and the 2 trains that come with the Czech route, they are so rich in detail that they almost reach expert level. You all saw that on the previous stream, I'm sure. But you have the modeled engine room on the goggles, locomotive, and you have a lot of details happening on the digital displays of the 843 trains. There is a lot to explore. An awful lot to explore. Trains tend to run a bit fast downhill on this part of the line. Well, we're actually supposed to go that slowly here. I'm not entirely sure. I even have to go to 20 because there is a junction in. I still have to complete mastery on the Goblin line. I think I have to complete 2 more scenarios or so. Did the one with the football stadium references, that was quite cool. Oh, maybe we'll look into this later. I have to admit, oh, this is the 30, not the 20. I did not play a lot on the Goblin line yet. And for mastery stuff, I never pay attention. If it's not something that I want to see specifically, I'm not really going into masteries. Yeah, London Overground. Actually, I had not heard of London Overground before the first release. in Train Sim World. And this is, if you look at the history, not such a big wonder, because unlike the London Underground, the London Overground has not been around for more than almost 2 decades now. Used to be Silverlink train services. Until the mayor of London thought it would be a nice idea to have those services not run by the Department for Transportation, but by a regulatory body that is answerable for the Greater London Authority. And here comes Transport for London. So I think it was around 2007 that London Overground was established as a brand for Transport for London. And then contracted to Arriva UK, or a subsidiary of them, Arriva London. Oh. I'm driving a bit erratically today. Of course, I'm trying to figure out 200 things at the same time. Yeah, and it wasn't before 2024 that those lines got their nice names after conducting a research about what would be adequate, who should be represented. And so we have the Lionesses, and we have the Windrush, and we have the Weaver, and Suffragettes. CD Radar stayed at Barking at the hotel last time he was in London. Well, not a huge fan of those names, the CD Radar. But why not? Don't you like that names as such, or do you think it is too much political correctness in those names? I have to prepare this. Because it was until a recent Tigerway stream that I thought the Lioness line was named after a female big cat, and there is educational value in it. But streams, yes. Well, I hope I did not disappoint you with that. I like the name for the football team, it is cute. Yeah, I think so as well. 3 lionesses on a shirt. I actually really like it when they have those the rails on those elevated tracks. Always liked it in the Peninsula corridor as well. Gives you such a nice view around the city. The 40 and the 30 drop are upcoming. So if I'm a bit silent today, then this is mostly due to the fact that my throat is scratchy and sore. And also due to the fact that I like running through the suburbs at 6 in the morning. Here's the 40 drop. The end of this platform, and the 30 drop will be at a junction, I'm sure. First we get back to our 45. Guesses are open for what line did we just cross? What connector is it that is coming in from the left? Expected as East Coast Main Line. We will see. We will have it all soonish in the presentation. since the London Overground services are more or less like circular services running around the center of the city, we're crossing all the time the big main lines that are going down into the country from London. Hey Kara, I'm sorry I cannot give you any Nachtisch moment later, okay? Again, huge chunks of railway lines that we're hugging to. Nachtisch. Yes. She often gets a treat after she had her regular food, and then she comes to me and looks at me. And I ask her, do you want some dessert? Most of the time she wants. So this is Barking here. Sometime around here we get a limit, but I have not managed to see a sign that tells me exactly where the limit begins. Oh, come on. Now my TV wants to turn off. And now we're going to the riverside. Can actually accelerate to 60 beyond this point here. Yeah. Preliminary junction indicator telling us that we are branching off to the right, and is most probably connected with some sort of speed limit to 45 to 40. Here's another one. Both of them are white. Fortunately, there was nobody who wanted to implement the yellow preliminary indicator. And now we're branching. now we're going up on the ramp. That will take us to the riverside, across all those many railway lines that are still waiting to be implemented in the game. Caution signal sending us to platform 1. Oh, 25 it is here already. And then the Moorgate protection at the platform will limit us to 10, I think, even slower than the 15 that we have at some places. Those two friends. Okay, with 10 they let us go. This is Barking Riverside. There's the river, by the way, in case you wondered on which side the river is. It is there. Nice and friendly station. And floops, we were thrown out. And City Race is an interesting section. We don't have many sections with poor concrete and rails in the game. That is true. Usually we have sleepers, not like this. Okay, well, the game is going back into the main menu. I can present you with my presentation. About the main railway lines out of London and the stations and the London Overground lines, and how our one underground line that we have in the game fits in with that. So, where is my presentation here? Wonderful. So this is a map of the Greater London area, more or less. If you wonder where this all is happening, here is a map for comparison. You can see the British Isles, England, Scotland, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, France, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, Switzerland, part of Austria, Italy. And this is the London area that is in my map here. What is, when we're talking, we did talk about this last stream, right? Talking about the Greater London area and the City of London, and we have this interesting concept that the Greater London area is actually not a city, but a conurbation with a lot of different boroughs, One of the boroughs, Westminster, is actually a city in itself, but also a borough in the Greater London area. Greater London has a mayor, typically called the Mayor of London, who also was very relevant for the development of the London Overground. And it cannot be confused with the City of London. What is this little area here in the middle, the center mile? We talked about this, that this little area in the middle of London is a county in itself. It does not belong to the Greater London area insofar as it is a county in itself, a ceremonial county. It has its own Lord Mayor. So the Mayor of London is somebody else than the Lord Mayor of the City of London, what is representative for the county. The Greater London area does not only have the Mayor of London and the GLA, the Greater London Authority, as a governmental or administrative body, but also a Lord Lieutenant that represents the conurbation insofar as it takes the place of a ceremonial country. So these two things, these two bodies, these two entities need to be more or less always seen differently when it comes to who is actually in charge for giving the regulations and the railway services. Here just for comparison, and that we know where we are actually operating. And most of the railway lines, people see that, are not happening inside the City of London, but in the greater area of the Great London area and the surrounding counties like Hertfordshire here in the north, for example. So, but let's get this political stuff out of the way. And I wanted just to track on the map how many important railway lines there are going in and out of London and how many of them we have already in the game. And the first one that we got already a couple of years back in time was the Great Western Main Line starting at London Paddington. Famously got a remaster now. The Great Western Express is going here towards Bristol, more or less due west. The next one that we had was the High Speed 1 line, the Channel Tunnel rail link with the beautiful Javelin train starting at London St Pancras and then more or less going down into the tunnel until they resurface at Stratford International, just to go back into the tunnel again and then come out and run along until they go into the next tunnel and then come out again at Ebbsfleet. Ebbsfleet International is here, and here is the junction where you can go to Gravesend and on to Faversham in the game. But the Channel Tunnel rail link here with the Javelin takes you on towards Ashford International. What we also got in the game is the beautiful Brighton Main Line, London commuter, London to Brighton, starting at London Victoria. At least one part of the Brighton Main Line, because the other part of the Brighton Main Line that starts at London Road Station and connects to the Brighton Main Line that we have in the game between Selhurst and East Croydon. You might remember from playing the Brighton Main Line that there is a huge junction area when you're coming from the Selhurst depot area into East Croydon. And this is the other part of the Brighton Main Line that actually should be in the game, but it is not. And going in a different way from a different station. Latest addition in those lines is what we got as West Coast Main Line South, starting at London Euston and then running parts on the track that we already knew from the Bakerloo Line and then through Watford Junction until Milton Keynes. And this is obviously the West Coast Main Line that goes to Birmingham then and to Manchester, Glasgow eventually, hitting Preston, hitting Carlisle, that is this line here. This is what we have in the game so far. So one for the north, one for the south, one for the east, and one for the west. But there are more and more that can be implemented. And for example, the Midland main line that also starts at London St Pancras. That is what this station actually was. It wasn't built for the Channel 10 rail link, but originally for the Midland main line. And here we don't have it in the game. The first city that we have then from the Midland main line is Leicester. From the Leicester to Derby and Nottingham DLC, but this is not on the map here. And city reader, I mean, it's just a 2,000-year-old city. What could be complicated about that? Yes, that's the thing. And this center part is actually dating back to Roman times. Another line that is happening here is the East Coast main line, starting across the street from London St Pancras, and in King's Cross with the Azuma train starting there, and the first bit of this line that we have in the game starts at Peterborough and then goes on to Doncaster, but the southern part of the East Coast main line that starts at King's Cross we don't have. And those two stations are actually so close together that they only have to cross the street more or less to get from one to the other. Share one tube station. There is more or less only one Burger King restaurant between them. And yeah, King's Cross. Everyone who is into Harry Potter obviously knows King's Cross, because this is also the start of the Hogwarts Express. And if you are at London King's Cross station, you see a multitude of Harry Potter references there. That was the East Coast main line, what I said, right? Two lines further on here is the West Anglia main line. We don't have any traces of that in the game so far. And the same holds true for the Great Eastern main line, and those two main lines, they converge and then start at Liverpool Street station. Also a station that we don't have any traces in the game so far, even though this part of the country highly depends on one line that is in a different color, because it is actually not called a main line, but it more or less belongs into this picture here, is the London Tilbury and Southend line. Tilbury is here, so this part actually belongs to it, and it goes here until the land ends at the place called Shoeburyness. And I don't know why they did not give this line a name that ends with main line. Could have called it Essex main line, Shoeburyness main line, Tilbury main line, whatever. I don't know what is the reason for that, why they begrudged the people in Essex to get a main line here. It starts at London Fenchurch Street, and so Fenchurch Street is the only station in Shoeburyness MOD. Yes, yeah, we had this on the military cargo line thing there. This is this Shoeburyness at the coast. London Fenchurch Street would not have a main line and wouldn't be actually on my map had I not put this in together with the actual main lines. A bit of a wild main line here, starting out of London Victoria, just like the Brighton main line is. Chatham main line. I'm already pronouncing it like the Chatham, on the Morristown line. And it is called obviously after the town where Dovetail Games have their headquarters in Chatham. And it is the original line where you could go from London Victoria from the west end, or western side, the western part of the Greater London area, out here before you got the Channel Tunnel rail link. So there are more ways to get there. And this line more or less connects with the line that is coming out of Gravesend at Strood. You might remember Strood at this place on the southeast eastern high speed where you have to slow down to 15 eventually to pass through and then go over this beautiful bridge at Rochester where there is the submarine, and that's true, there is another line coming from the opposite direction before you're branching off towards this bridge, and this is more or less connecting to the Chatham main line here. Then we have the southeast main line starting at 2 stations in London, Charing Cross here in Cannon Street, and then going into the southeast. And we have correspondingly the southwest main line starting at Waterloo station here, and then sharing parts between Battersea Park and Clapham Junction with the Brighton main line. So this is all the stuff if you remember playing the Brighton main line and coming from Battersea Park towards Clapham Junction, you only used like 2 or 3 platforms, and the rest was a huge amount of empty tracks. And that is all connected with that. Tracks coming out of Waterloo. Then we have the Chiltern main line coming out of another station, London Marylebone. And you remember that probably from our stream about the British Railways automatic train protection, because on the Chiltern main line, also on the branch line to Amersham partly, was part of the second project for testing the British Rail automatic train protection systems, and it was stopped not so long ago, unlike the project ATP that is still running on the Great Western main line. So that we have that too. So those are all the main lines going in and out of London, and you can see you can go in and out of London, but as soon as you want to go out of London in a different direction, then there are no connections here, and this is why I have the tube system more or less, and the London Overground that more or less provides circular services around here. For comparison again, Greater London area and then the City of London, you can see only 3 of those stations are actually inside the City of London. Liverpool Street, Fenchurch Street and Cannon Street. All the other stations are way out of this inner mile. For talking about the London Overground, we have to get a bit closer and look at what's happening here. And first I marked out all the different stations. London Paddington for the Great Western Main Line, Marylebone for the Chiltern Main Line, Euston for the West Coast Main Line, St Pancras for the Channel Tunnel Rail Link and for the Midland Main Line, King's Cross for the East Coast Main Line, Liverpool Street for the East Anglia and the Great Eastern, Fenchurch for the Tilbury and Shoeburyness, Knott Main Line, Cannon Street and Charing Cross for the South East Main Line, London Bridge and Victoria actually then for this part of the Brighton Main Line, Waterloo for the Southwest Main Line that finally takes you to the Isle of Wight, and Victoria for the Brighton Main Line and for the Chatham Main Line. Yeah, so far a handful of stations actually that need to be connected in a certain way, and part of it that more or less provides a circular service for that, and additional services coming in from the north and from the south and from the north west here. Those are then the London Overground services mainly, and this one, the blue one, and I try to use the colors that are the official colors for the London Overground lines, is the Mildmay line. That's actually never hitting that hospital called Mildmay, but nevertheless it is named after it. Starting at Stratford, there where the Tunnel Rail Link also is, even in a different part of the station. and actually goes up to Richmond, whereas in the DLC that we have in the game, it ends at Williston Junction, where we hit the West Coast Main Line. But this part is promised. It is still in the making, as it seems. Unlike that branch to Clapham Junction, what we know from the Brighton Mainline DLC. So this part is not in the game, and at the moment at least there is no hope that we get it. The Richmond extension is supposed to arrive anytime soon, so that we can at least run the trains from Stratford via Williston Junction up to Richmond here. What we just drove is the Goblin, the Suffragette Line, starting from Gospel Oaks to Barking Riverside, so it's actually here at the riverside. And we can see what lines we crossed. It was probably not the East Coast Main Line, because that actually is hit earlier. Was one of those two. No, probably when I asked, it was most probably the Great Eastern Main Line that we passed here. And later then we shared track with the London Tilbury and Southend line. It is not a really main line, but you could see it was big enough until we branched off to Barking Riverside, whereas the Channel Tunnel rail link at this part, I don't know if it is already out of the tunnel, or most probably it is still all the time in the tunnel at this area. The Lioness Line more or less came as an extra when the West Coast Main Line South was provided, London Euston to Milton Keynes. That covers all the extension of the Lioness Line that follows the West Coast Main Line most of the time, and with the exception of one station, Fort High Street, where we have this little buckle going away from the West Coast Main Line and back to it, and then run all the way to London Euston from Watford Junction. Why I can color London Euston also in this bit of orangish yellow, because it belongs to London Overground. Those are 3 lines that we have in the game, at least some of them completely, some of them partly, like the mild mail lines, and there are 3 more that we don't have in the game at all. One is the Windrush line that starts at Highbury in Islington, which is a station that we have on the Mildmay line, and from here it shares 1 or 2 stations until it branches off to the south, just missing Liverpool Street, going through Whitechapel and then this way until it gets to West Croydon, so almost connecting to the Brighton Main Line here, with some branch lines to New Cross, to Crystal Palace, and closing the circle actually with a line to Clapham Junction. So with the Mildmay line and the Windrush line, you could actually more or less do this circular service around the center of London. All this not in the game. Same goes for the Weaver line, what is the northern part of the London Overground lines, actually starting at Liverpool Street and then going here, sharing track a bit with the East Anglia main line, but then branching off to Enfield Town on this side to going to a city called Chingford, and the main line, and it's just outside of my map, to a place called Cheshunt or Cheshunt, I actually don't know. But this is the Weaver line, and we don't have it in the game. We must cross its path with the Suffragette line, we must cross its path with the Mildmay line, but that is all what we have of it in the game so far. And where is the last one? Those are 5, and I said there are 6 London Overground lines. The last one is a bit of a weird thingy, the Liberty Line, and it is only a very short connector between the Great Eastern Main Line at Romford to the London Tilbury and South End line at Upminster. So there's one station, if I remember correctly, in between, and apart from that, trains are going back and forth here, constituting the Liberty Line, not connected with any other line on the London Overground service. Yes, so I still don't know why City Radar is not so happy with the names. And I missed to comment, every train station is a tourist attraction in London. That is true. Totally. There are so many, and every train station is a tourist attraction, and they are just beautiful. When you're coming in, or every time you're going somewhere in England, most of the time you're more or less landing with the plane, going into London and out on a different site. So when we're doing the office meetup at Chatham for DTG, and we're typically, then me at least, because it's easiest for me, I arrive by plane at Stansted, coming down the Stansted Express via the East Anglia Main Line, not going up to Liverpool Street, but switching here at Tottenham Hale to the Victoria Line, and with the Victoria Line going to St Pancras, and then with the Channel Tunnel railing on the Chethlin out to Chatham, just as we can do this in the game. So that's a typical thing. You don't have a lot of connection going cross country. A couple of them are, but typically the movement is in and out on a different end. Yeah, what did I not present you with so far is how does the one underground line that we have in the game connect with this system, the Bakerloo Line. Underground, not overground, starting at Harrow and Wealdstone. This is the overground part, even though it is an underground service. And then here at Queen's Park, famously, we're going underground, and then the line still hits Kensal Green and then goes more or less to the southeast to Paddington, connecting to Paddington Station, then turning northeast, hitting Baker Street to earn the first part of its name at Regent's Park, making a turn to the right, and then running here up to connect with Charing Cross. Piccadilly is on the way, and then underneath the river, hitting Waterloo to earn the second part of the line, and then we end at, as CD Radar put it so wisely in the chat, at Elephant and Castle. Elephant and Castle, can I say that is in Polish? I know what elephant means. Słony is in Polish, maybe it is a similar word in Czech. And castle is hrad in Czech, right? Słony hrad. Build the bridge to the Czech DLC next time. You are correct, Cecilia. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think this was my presentation for today. Hope you enjoyed it. With all the maps, you know that I am a sucker for maps, and I am a sucker for connecting points and seeing how everything works together in the system. And this is not so self-explanatory at London, and how the different DLCs make up one beautiful thing. It's just too sad that we cannot have all the lines working together in a seamless system. And Spectre says, looks a bit complicated, does it not? They need some Stuttgart 21 projects, yes, to get some order and method in their railway. So, what was it with the football focus that Spectre liked? Transport for London have put a football tour service for football fans. Take a tour of the local football team stadiums, learning a little along the way. Let's do it. Yeah. So if you want, just let me know what you think about my maps and connecting this stuff. It helps me always a lot to get into immersion here. Transport for London have put a football tour service for tourists. Take this train, which will stop at connecting stations for Arsenal, Tottenham and Hotspurs, and the rest I could not read anymore. Climb aboard the train. Sit in the driver's seat. We will do that, but first let me turn on the safety systems, because you never let me do that in the scenarios. Get this train into service, and our first stop will be Leyton Midland Road. Here we don't have the lights turned on. Set the reverse to forward.
TPWS and AWS operational.
Press the AC system select. We don't have it running so far. Dual voltage train. This version of the Aventra. And to grove up. And here we are. We have some choosy choose. Secure before opening the gates. Gates. Service going to Gospel Oak. Gospel Oak. We are Barking, aren't we? Not at the riverside. We would have to run through there to get to Riverside. But this seems to be Barking without Riverside. Consider says they are amazing. You could put them somewhere for everyone to admire. Thank you so much. Maybe I will do that. But for now, they are on YouTube for everyone to admire. The next stop is Leyland Midland Road for... And now I had to cough and I couldn't read it aloud. Take this train, which will stop at connecting stations for Arsenal, Tottenham, Hotspur, West Ham, and Leyton Orient. And the first one, we don't know because it is not yet in the message log. For whatever reason, here it is. To both West Ham United and Leyton Orient stadiums. Good. What I wanted to know is how far can I go? Not how far, how fast? 45. They might be suitable for individual pages on the website as an introductory image for that country. That is an idea. Maybe I should follow up on that. So, 45. Go via location Woodgrange Park. Let's see if we can find our different lines that we talked about. This is probably part of the Tilbury and Southend line. This is probably the Great Eastern. Then this would be difficult to know. This is probably the East Coast Main Line. No. I would have to put it on a map to see that properly. This is more or less the extent. Woodgrange Park, there is the reverse. Because now we have to go across the... Here is the smorgasbord for the reduction to 30 over speed sensor loop. Woodgrange Park, and after Woodgrange Park we're probably going halfway to the left across the junction. To 30 here already when we go through the park, through the station. Double yellow. The other Aventra train is coming. Football teams can be categorized by what football league they play in. These range from Premier League, English Football League, the EFL Championship, League 1. It's always too fast if I have to read it out. And what comes after? Wanstead Park. Got back to greens. Leystone High Road is the next one that we have to pass. A little dip to 40, not to forget here. most time on those lines, people must actually be busy building all those busy city streets. And all of a sudden a single yellow out of the blue. Leyton Midland is next. Do we actually have a red here? Can't really say at the moment. Red and yellow is always difficult to tell apart. Looks more yellow, I think. As soon as I can see the pig's ears, I can be certain. Yeah, this looks yellow. Doesn't have pig's ears. Oh, we should have stopped here. This is Leyton Midland Road. From this station you can find Premier League team West Ham United Stadium. Can we see it? Founded in 1895 as Thames Ironworks, they reformed in 1900 as West Ham United. The emblem of the rivet hammers represents... Oh. There is someone at the station actually, who I should probably talk to. They definitely look like it. And I thought I can actually get around the fact that I stopped far away. Mr. Williams, I've told this guy many times he can't bring his football to the stadium. No, to the station. He's always kicking it around. Bobby Moore, don't worry, you're not seeing a ghost. I'm not the same Bobby Moore who played for West Ham in England with a statue outside Wembley Stadium. Okay. Oh, my train closed the doors. This open structure of the train is great for having people get in and out of the train fast, but it is actually difficult for graphic engines to generate the players, passengers. So what's wrong? Did I not close my doors? And we will do that. Also located here are EFL League One teams Leyton Orient and Brisbane Road Stadium. Founded in 1881 as a cricket club, they began playing football as Orient in 1888, as Clapton Orient a few years later before adopting the current name of Leyton Orient. And what is wrong with my train now? Now we should go. Yes. Before the relegation to lower leagues in 17, Orient was the second oldest league club in London behind Fulham FC. Fortunately, 2023 saw the team promoted back into League One. And TPWS is really interesting history. It shows a bit of an example of how competition actually does not benefit customers. Because when individual lines were not connected and started from places far from each other, only those who made a great decision to connect all the stations profited from it. This phenomenon of impassable stations can be seen in many old cities across Europe. Yeah, not only in Europe, also in the United States, right? You look at Grand Central and Penn Station in New York. You have the stations as terminus for the line in question, and that's it more or less. Walthamstow, Queens Road, going on to Blackhorse Road. Inspector says, true, I still cannot fully comprehend the fact that in Germany there were competing bus networks in the Cologne area where tickets were not valid for both, or that airports were not connected to trains. Yeah, true, only changed in the 90s, I think with more interconnections. Blackhorse Road. And Juniper, hey, lots of British stuff these days, huh? True enough. This was more or less how it worked out, but tomorrow we were gonna have Czech stuff. On Thursday we're gonna have German stuff again. And then it depends actually on how more and more DLCs are going to be released. There is not much to be got in edgewise. Oh, the bridge with the 30. It's coming up. But nice to have you on the stream again, Juniper. I hope you are doing well. A boat. A narrow boat. I'm really looking forward to this Czech DLC. And it will be interesting to see how people like it. South Tottenham is actually a place where we are supposed to stop. Tottenham Hotspur, commonly referred to as Spurs, was founded in 1882. Spurs emblem is a cockerel standing upon a football with a Latino motto, Aude. Tottenham collected at least one major trophy in each of the 6 decades from 50 to 2000, an achievement only matched by Manchester United.
Oh.
Now did I blow my nose on microphone on? If so, I apologize. When I get the mute button. Did not really manage to get the mute button in the correct position. That was some jump scare that shocked me awake. I'm sorry. My headset has a button that can mute the whole contraption, but it is a button that needs to stick high or low horn. And in this context, the button did not stick. Crouch Hill is next. Why can't we? Yeah, I thought so. Why did we not get slowed down to 30? Because I missed it. For one time, quite some time already. First we have a red light. Let's not put a spat on top of everything that I did wrong today. Upper Halloway, and then Gospel Oaks. Juniper. I was in Bad Schandau on the line Dresden Prague, which I rode before but never stopped there. Those rock formations are really gorgeous. Nice to hear. You get around a lot. Signals. I want to test my ability to stop probably. But now I can go 55, can I not? No, I should have stopped here. Oh my god. Founded by munition workers at the Royal Arsenal, they started in Woolwich. A cannon is used as their team emblem to represent their origins. In 1913, the club crossed the city, becoming close neighbors to Tottenham Hotspurs. In 2006, the club moved to their home grounds, Emirates Stadium. Alright, we have to go on to Gospel Oaks and City Radar. Stop at station, you said so, Spectre, but I was busy doing other things again. All those go via locations make me miss my stops. Well, maybe you should not drive a train if you have a cold in the head. It is dangerous, as you can see. At any rate, I managed to stop at the red signals, but not at the stations. Better this way than the other way around. It is tricky, as this, but nice that you don't have to stop at every station. That's true. Well, with a bit more focus on what you're doing, it is totally doable. But with reading the chat in between, it is definitely a distraction that you should not have if you're driving a train. This part is so beautiful here with all this green. So much for being able to stop at the red signals. So, it's just a timer, but all good. City Radar found that the first mention of a Czech route was actually on October the 8th, 2023 already. That is early. I did not expect that. My first about hearing that there will be a check route was when we had the office meetup last year, end of August 24. So now we have to wait at the red signal because I did not stop at the station before and didn't spend the time sitting there. I find that so sweet. 3 levels of traffic lines, railway lines on the ground, a road in the middle, railway line on top, and now we are allowed to go into platform B. Maybe the track is still occupied. It was blocked. Yeah, it was probably by this train here. I meant the first mention here on the stream. You actually. I wrote an addition that will never happen. So cool. Because obviously I could not spoil it after I heard it. Not spoil it, spoiler it. After I heard it. So, none of those red signals is for us because we get the buffer block. So finally, a proper stop in the proper location at the platform. And yet here we are. Yeah. I am really looking forward to this Czech DLC, and tomorrow, same time, starting at 1900 UTC, unfortunately coinciding with the roadmap stream, we will have a first look, a sneak peek, because the release is on Tuesday, and I will already dive. Beautiful. I will already dive into the signaling, and hopefully I get the cold out of my head a bit so that I can drive with more focus, because without focus it is difficult driving those trains. They are quite challenging. I have a lot of things to do and to take care of. And this will really be interesting whether people like it or not, because it is not really easy. And the services and scenarios are super long, between 1.5 and 2 hours. Yeah, I remember you wrote to me when I was in Graz on the Schlossberg cable car in the summer. That's where I first heard about it. Yeah, that was after the reveal. That was the day when they announced it, and then it was allowed for me to tell you. And then there's that weird language. It is a really challenging language. I can never understand how people can actually use that language and think and talk in languages like Polish or Czech. So many cases and so many different forms that the words can end in. But I managed to work my way through the Czech signaling document that CD Radar was friendly enough to provide me with. 368 pages of railway regulations in Czech. And I think I got the gist insofar that I can give you a first rundown about the signaling that is happening in the Liberec Stará DLC, so that we can enjoy this tomorrow. For today, I hope you enjoy a bit, even though my driving was erratic, the rundown of the lines in London and the London Overground, and maybe we meet again tomorrow at 1900 UTC, and then starting most probably in Starapaka. Next time, nice stream, thank you, and see you next time, Suspector. Thank you so much, guys, and see you around.